everybody. I am here with a treat for myself and you guys today. This is my very good friend Danny Hunt of the Illusion Act Amethyst, which is how I met him in the first place. Danny does a whole variety of things, magic, illusions, he escapes places and things, shops and scares people, behind the scenes stuff, magic consultancy. You do all sort, like basically all of the magic stuff and lots of spooky things as well. So welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. So usually everyone, when I'm interviewing someone, it's not someone that I know in real life, but me and Danny have been friends for years. I used to work at a holiday park I shan't name because I've given lots of anecdotes in other videos, Danny, so I don't usually...
I agree 100%.
About Amethyst were a regular act that we had every Monday, and I usually hosted and ushered them on, and then on occasion Danny would ask me to help them out with something because I would get very scared about his safety in life. And to this day, I think I must have watched your illusion stuff like from every possible angle over the years I've known you, and I can't figure out how you do anything.
You saw a lot of our shows, it's fair to say, every week for, I mean, it was a week. I don't know how long you were there for. How long were you at that holiday park for?
3 years I did. So, well,
3
the
years.
first one was summer, and then two full years.
So you got to see kind of like the illusion stuff, the escapology, obviously the escapology stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, can I tell your views about that?
Oh yes, please do.
Is that okay? So
yeah.
we used to do myself and my wife, we used to do this a recreation of one of Houdini's classic escapes, where I would be locked inside of a tank, a milk churn filled with water, and have to get out. And I think the first time I did this, when Kaylee was there, I passed Kaylee a set of keys and said, if there's a problem, get me out as quick as you can. And of course, I'd sometimes occasionally build up suspense by not appearing out of the tank as quickly as I should do. But I always used to know that it used to get a great reaction from yourself, which was great.
Oh my God, guys, you've got no idea. Like, I'm sweating thinking about it because, like I said, we bonded quite fast. We got lots of horror stuff in common, which we'll get onto in a little bit. But yeah, being handed the keys and thinking, oh my God, if something goes wrong and I don't unlock the padlocks fast enough, you're gonna drown on my watch. And yeah, and your other escape, that was such a good act that I don't know how you did it, because firstly, being inside something with a closed lid with the padlocks on the outside, I don't know how you picked the lock. I don't know how you got to the locks in the first place. And I got in that urn because I was sure that it was...
You did.
Yeah. You let me get in because I didn't believe you that there wasn't just like a way to push the whole lid off. And you're sealed up tight in there, so I don't want to know how you do it. I'm pretty convinced that you're actually magic and you're just parading around saying it's illusion.
Well, madly, when Houdini used to do all of these incredible escapes, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, of course, famous for his Sherlock Holmes writings, he believed that Houdini could actually dematerialize. He said that was the only way that Houdini could perform his escapes, and he genuinely believed that Houdini had supernatural powers, which is crazy.
Maybe he did, although
maybe.
So we had your magic act every Monday, and it always went over so well. Everyone loved it because you'd sort of like go up in degrees for like the illusion. So some of it would be like audience participation, where you'd get like some nervous little child on to do something, and then what they face in wonder as the table floated or something. And then you build up to an escape act. Watching Steph get in and out of a box that had collapsed at some point, or swords were stuck through it. I watched you from every vantage point in that venue, and I helped you unload the equipment sometimes. I still didn't. I was always looking like, where does she go? And then you also, for a short period of time, did that escapology, like adults only escapology show in like in the pub. Children were not
We
allowed.
did do it, yeah. Yeah, I think I used to do an escape in that show, but primarily that show was kind of like all the old sideshow stuff, all of the stuff that um, would have been performed in the old freak shows and side shows and everything. I can't remember at the time if I was swallowing swords when you were there,
Yeah, you did.
or was it
You tried to teach me how to swallow a sword, and I was too scared.
also swallowing and pushing pins through myself and hammering nails into my face and all that sort of thing.
Yeah,
So yeah, it was a weird time, weird time. I
the
don't do as much sword swallowing anymore.
yeah.
But this is my. I'll show you just really quickly. I don't know if you've seen, can see any of this stuff. But that's one of my swords that I swallow, which is a beautiful sword. But this is my new toy. This is my new toy. It's a giant pair of scissors.
Oh my god.
Uh, a giant pair of scissors. So I'm currently working on. I'm currently working on swallowing those. So a little bit different, right? A little bit different.
Oh my god. The escape act you did in that one as well. I'll never forget the first time I saw it, because when you escaped, my legs buckled. I was so scared. Even though, so I know that you're a professional. I've seen you perform many times, and you'd think that I would stop worrying that you were actually going to die in one of these things, but I never did. And like that trap looked like something from Saw.
Did inspired by Saw, inspired by the movie Saw. So basically, I'll give your viewers a quick rundown.
Yeah.
I sit on a kind of a stool with my head in a stock on a table, and a box above my head, and above my head there's these spikes that come crashing down, and it's all connected up to this rather I can't really describe it as a dodgy electronic device, because it was always a little temperamental, this timer. So you were never quite you kind of really wanted to get a move on. That was the best way to describe it. And I'd have to get out before these spikes would come and crash in on my head. And it was, funnily enough, when we first built the thing, the engineer who worked on it with me, um, his wife said he was mad for even thinking about building the thing for me, and refused to go anywhere near the workshop when he was there working on this contraption. So yeah, we called it the head trap. We called it the head trap, inspired by Saw. So
Yeah, and yeah, so before, if you envision this, everyone, so like it would be like these spiky arms up here, Danny's head here, locked in a thing with padlocks all around, and then yeah, on he'd have to like escape before the timer hit 0, and the arms would come down. And they would demonstrate the weight and power of the arms before he got in, so you knew that they had head crushing capabilities. And because I saw you do that a few times. Um, you got out at a slightly different time every time. So I
yeah,
was so after the first time I was like, oh, it's okay. I know he'll. So the next time I saw it, I was like, oh, it hit the point where you'd got out the first time, and I was like, oh my god, he's not out.
yeah, and of course the other thing was with this, because it wasn't like other escapes or magic tricks where it was done behind a curtain.
Yeah.
Everyone saw this happening in full view. You saw me regurgitating a piece of steel and taking it out of my mouth and picking the locks, and you could see how long it was taking me to do it. So I think it was kind of a little different as well. I don't think anyone else, well, certainly even now, I don't think anyone's kind of doing that sort of thing out there.
No, it was
Um,
so much fun.
it was great fun. It was great fun to do. There was one week I remember jumping off the thing, and I caught my face, just on the side of my face, on a part of the prop itself, not the spikes,
Mm.
but it started bleeding. My face started bleeding, and I remember I remember the entertainment manager there, who's also a very good friend of ours,
Yes.
coming up panicking because he thought I'd spiked myself in the head. So
Yeah. Um, they're just like such a thrill to watch, and really appeal to my like horror sensibilities, because before your act I wasn't really into magic. illusions. Because I did, when I was a kid, I did have a Paul Daniels magic kit.
Of course, yeah, yeah.
Right. And even with the instructions, I couldn't do any of the tricks. So about a year in, I gave up my dream of being a world-class musician. And then we did have other magic acts sometimes, but yours, no disrespect to anyone else's, but yours was just by far the best one to me. It was just so smooth and
Very sweet. That's very lovely of you.
professional. I advise anyone, if you see Amethyst in a town near you, you have to go. It's so much fun. Even performed at your own wedding, so that was great.
It did, yeah. Well, I can't dance. That was the thing, Kelly. I can't dance.
That's what they did.
So if we didn't do a first dance, we did a first illusion. So, and it happens to be the first illusion that Steph that she'd ever worked with me on. So yeah, that was it. So we did it at our wedding. So
It was wonderful, and it was really sweet because so anyone who doesn't know Danny in person like I do, so Steph is Danny's partner in Amethyst and also his wife now. And your wedding, me and Nick came away from that mad at you because we'd been to weddings all year, and then yours was the last one we went to before our wedding. And yours was like a full-scale production. Like, I was like, we're never going to a wedding like that again for the rest of our lives. And Nick was like, should we get like people dancing with fire, or what do we do? And I was like, no. I was like, we're tapped out budget-wise. We can't have no magic acts. But Danny did do some tableside magic for us at our wedding, which was very kind of you.
yeah, I mean, you didn't want me to, but I forced myself on you, right?
No, I did.
It was like-
Everybody loved it. Everyone
it was
loved
fun day, and really fun as well because obviously, again, for me, I was getting to meet up with friends that were there that I hadn't seen for years, and it was just brilliant. It was great.
What got you your start with? Did you start with magic or escapology,
Yeah.
or what started you?
Magic first. My mum and dad got me a magic set. I've got to show you it. Don't move.
All
I've got
right,
to show you it.
gonna hang out here.
Just reaching over. So this was my first ever magic set, and I think it's just wonderful.
You have
It's,
the first ever.
my first ever magic set. It was made by a company called Fisher Price.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
The Fisher Price. I don't know if you can see. It's possibly well and truly done. But my name, it's a little space there for your name, and it's possibly coming off. And I wrote my name on there, and yeah, and that was my first magic set. That's got me into doing magic tricks and playing around with doing stuff. My mum was she was a music teacher. She was a piano teacher, and she tried for years. To get me to play the piano, and I'm just not very musical. I've just got no rhythm, and I tried, and it wasn't happening. And of course, all of a sudden, one day she went to a music bag and took out some books and everything, some sheet music she had, and then she took out a small magic book, the Ladybird Book of Magic, and it was a book that she got when she was a kid, and she'd actually she spent her pocket money on this book, went home with it, and her mum and dad found this book, and her mum and dad were very very religious, and they were quite upset that she'd spent her pocket money on a book about magic, work of the devil. So they threw it out. They threw this book out. But my mum went outside, retrieved the book, and she kept it. She kept it hidden in with all of her music books from being a child, and it was in there for years. And then, so I sat down with my little magic set, and my mum and with the Ladybird Book of Magic. And my mum started teaching me magic tricks from the book, and that's what got me into doing magic. So
That's
yeah.
so wholesome.
It's quite cool, right?
When was your first professional show?
Oh wow! So professional, as in from the moment I left school, because I started doing shows as a kid. Really started doing like my cousins' birthday parties and things like that. All with my my little magic set and whatever else I could come up with. But then, yeah, I kind of did that right. And all through my school years, I knew I wanted to be a magician. So when you sat there with the careers advisor, and the careers advisor I don't know if we still have careers advisors in schools nowadays.
It was when I was
Something
there,
a
but I didn't
different,
think
yeah.
much of mine.
No, no. Well, mine sent me to a builder's company to learn how to lay bricks. Despite the fact that I was desperate to get into entertainment and theatre. Um, and it was my woodworking teacher who came along to me one day and said, "Why are you going to a builder's yard when you want to be in entertainment?" And he basically went to the careers advisor and said, "Look, he can't be a bricklayer. He can't be a joiner. I've seen his practical work. It's rubbish. He needs to be a magician." And it turns out my old woodwork teacher was also he was into theatre, and he was a singer, so, and a musician. So that's kind of like, he encouraged me off to do it professionally. I left school. I auditioned to go and do an entertainment manager's job. I was 16. I left school, and I got my first job at a holiday park in Newquay in Cornwall, and off I went with my suitcase and my rabbit. I had a little rabbit, and I dare I show you a picture. Do you want to see a picture?
Yeah.
So I also conned my dad into loaning me the money so I could have a publicity photograph printed, and I would
Oh
take
God.
this off to sell them. I got 1,000 of them printed. Got 1,000 of them printed. I've still got 999 of them left. Didn't sell one. Genuinely didn't sell one. I just give them away to everyone. But there it is.
Oh my God.
Hey, look at that. And that's my rabbit, Snowy. And off I went. That was me. 16, 7, almost just coming up 17 by the time I got the job. And I blagged my way into this job in Newquay. Part way through the contract, the owners came to me and said, "Danny, how old are you really?" She meant to be 18 for the job. And I said, "Oh, I'm 18. I think I've just turned 17 at this point." And he said, "No, you're not. Tell me how old you are." And I said, "Well, yeah, you caught me out. I'm 17. I'm 17." I said, "I'll go home. I'll pack up if you want." And he said, "No, no. I was just wanting to ask if you come back again next year."
Oh.
So, but, I didn't go back. I ended up blagging myself a job on a ship, working as a magician on a ship. And that was that. So,
Well, that's so cool. And so when did you start branching off into, like, the escapology? I feel is like an illusion branch, but it's obviously much higher
yes.
risk.
Yeah. With the escapologist stuff, I'd always had a massive interest in it and always done escapology. I got my first set of handcuffs when I was probably about 11, I think. And I visited a magic shop in Blackpool called the Tommy Cooper Joke Shop. But in this shop, this guy had on one wall the most amazing things. There's tools for lock picking and handcuff escapes and things like that. And I bought my first set of handcuffs, and then I went to buy a set of lockpicks from him, and he wouldn't sell me the lockpicks. He wouldn't sell me the lockpicks because he was concerned that I was so young and maybe I might use them for evil. So I sent my dad back, and my dad bought them for me, and he was quite right. I used them for evil. I I spent the rest of the day breaking into my sister's money box and any locks that I could find. I taught myself how to pick locks, and that kind of stuck with me. The escapologist always had a big part in what I do, and I think as well because one of my heroes was Harry Houdini, and of course Houdini being a magician and an escapologist, it just kind of fits hand in hand. So I developed the escapology stuff, I developed the lock picking stuff, and uh, decided that I should learn how to become a locksmith. So I became a qualified master locksmith, which helps when you're breaking out of prisons or breaking
Yeah.
into things. It's always good. So
No matter
so
what,
yeah,
they never hold you.
true,
um,
true.
it's so many like different skill sets because you've got like illusion, so you're like, so something like stick his swords through a box that someone's in. I don't know how that works. I don't want you to tell us how it works, but obviously it's illusion. There's something to that. But with like picking locks, you're picking locks, right? So that's
Yeah, yeah. I think that's the thing. So, I mean, I suppose, yeah. There's escape. So I was looking at it like this: there's an escape, and then there's a magic-looking escape, an illusion escape.
yeah.
So an illusion escape might be something like, I get in a box, and my wife Steph stands on the top of the box. She lifts a curtain, she lowers it down. We've changed places. So I kind of look at that as an illusion escape, and then I look at something like the head trap as being hardcore escapes, real pure escapes. You see me there picking a lock, trying to get out. You can see everything that's happening. Same when I'm lowered into a tank of water head first. I'm visual in front of everyone, picking the locks, trying to get out. You know, there's no secret to it other than you're picking a lock.
Do you not get scared when you're doing these dangerous ones or?
Oh, it's excitement. It's the
Yeah.
adrenaline, isn't it? It's, I guess the
Not
same
for
as like,
me, Daddy.
no, definitely not for you.
I was there holding my little set of keys, thinking, please get out of there.
I remember there was one incident when I came out of that tank, looking to the left of me, and seeing you stood there, literally shaking, actually shaking.
I had the microphone, and then I had to like send them like that was their last act, everyone. So I was there with the microphone. Daddy came out, and I was like, okay, everyone, let's have this.
It was brilliant. It was brilliant. And but again, all sorry, I'm shuffling around because
Well, that's okay. You're allowed.
I'm a fidget. Yeah, I think it all adds to the effect. All adds to the effect of the drama as well. When the audience could see that you were genuinely afraid and scared, it did help with the drama of it all, I guess.
I had a family that were there for that week that I'd been sitting with a lot that said that they felt quite safe, like that there was just some trick to it, and then they
Yeah.
looked at me and I was like, my microphone, looking at the timer, thinking, oh my god, it's on zero, it's on zero. What's your most and least favorite escapes that you've done?
Oh, I love doing prison escapes. I love being challenged to escape from prisons.
Yeah.
And I'm very fortunate that I've managed to break out of 3 prisons. I've been challenged to escape from 3 prisons, and I've broken out of 3 prisons, which have been great fun. Houdini had this thing where you had to get out. He always set himself a challenge to break out of a prison in 15 minutes, and he'd make his escape. So I always wanted to make mine quicker. So I think the quickest I ever broke out of a prison was 12 minutes, which was
Oh my
pretty cool.
god.
And it was a prison cell that they once kept Dick Turpin, the famous highwayman, in.
Oh my.
So that was pretty cool. Houdini said it was the most escape-proof prison he'd ever visited. So he actually declined the chance to escape from that prison. And then I went, yeah, go on, then I'll give it a go. So yeah, so I did it. It was good fun, great fun, really exciting. But I always think afterwards, it could have gone wrong. It could have gone wrong. I could have got locked in there and not got out. Now, whilst there's no physical harm coming to me whilst I'm locked in there. I think part of the agreement is I sometimes say I've got to stay in the prison for 48 hours or whatever it is, just as a my forfeit. But it would be a reputation damaging sort of thing, because the last thing anyone wants to see is, or last thing anyone wants to book is an escapologist who can't escape. So yeah, it was always always maybe a little silly to do those. And you look back and kind of go, a lot of work in breaking out of a prison. There was, in some cases, 2 years of development and working on what I needed to do to actually get out of those things. But yeah, good fun though.
Yeah, I can only imagine if because like you're gonna build it up to be it's a thing to see. So if you don't actually
Yeah,
get it out, you're like, ah, nuts.
yeah, yeah. And you know what, as well, again, going to the same love as you of horror and all things scary. The prisons are great. Such atmosphere in some of those places. The prison cell where they kept Dick Turpin in York. it's a museum, so go visit it. You can go and look at it. It's a wonderful place to go and look around. You can see the cell that I was locked in, as well as all of the other incredible things there. But we were there before we were in the place before it opened, so we're in there at like 4 o'clock in the morning, prepping for the escape that was going to happen. All had to be done before the public were let in, and it's quite a scary, eerie place to go and visit. And the curator took me, because it used to be an old prison. The curator took me into a room the morning of my escape, and he opened this door and he turned on the light. He said, "Do you know where you are?" I said, "Well, I can see I'm in a secure cell. What would be a cell?" He said, "Yep." And he pulled this door along to one side and he showed me a set of wooden doors. He said those wooden doors would have pushed open at one point, and a set of gallows were pushed out, and they would hang people, and they would push them out through the doors, and those people would be hung in public. That's where the public hangings took place before they moved them out of the city of York. And it was just the atmosphere in the place was incredible. It was just a wonderful place. If you like that sort of thing, obviously.
Yeah, that reminds me of the so this wasn't like for public viewing, but for the staff at the holiday park, you did a séance sort of thing. And it was so entertaining. So you had like a creepy doll, you put it in a box and it throws something out of the box, and everyone, like, the holiday park we worked at, just for a little bit of background for everybody, the venue that Danny did this in is apparently haunted, and there are staff at that park that just refuse to work in that venue. And I don't believe in ghosts at all. I don't believe in anything, but I remember the uniforms were kept in a big cupboard in there, and I was in there with somebody else one day, and I don't think that this is what I think it was, like, at the time, but I still can't come up with anything of what it could have been. But I swear to God, I heard like a little girl like sing-songing. All of us, like, me and Mary were sorting out uniforms, and then I just heard la, 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 and he heard it as well, and we was like, ah! Like, uniforms in the air. I was gone, and I don't believe in ghosts, and we were we did think maybe someone had like come in and like to mess with us, because we both heard the same thing. We're like, that was a little girl, right? And but we never knew, because we'd locked the doors behind us. There was no one else in there, and we were like, maybe the air conditioning that doesn't exist or something. So this is the venue that Danny picked to raise some spirits, and I was probably the most skeptical on the team, and you weren't there for the aftermath. I couldn't sleep that night because the girls kept coming to my chalet, because everyone was too scared to stay in their own chalet, and even Martin and everyone.
We
So
had a fun night that night, and if I remember right, I made you all sign a little waiver
I still have
of
it.
liability. Do you? Which basically said, if you get spirits haunting you after this, then it's not my fault; it's your own fault.
Yeah, we had to sign like a disclaimer saying we wouldn't hold you responsible if we
Yeah, that's it.
got possessed or something.
Yeah.
It was really, really fun. It was, and because I can't help it. I'm like this with films. I look for the mechanics and everything. So I was like, how are they doing this? Right? I didn't know. And while we're talking about spirits, this is why it's really fun to be friends with people who do these kinds of jobs, everyone. So as a gift one time, Danny sent me a prop from the show Houdini and Doyle. And it is, I kept it in its original box and everything. It is the spirit hand.
There we are.
Can you explain this to people that won't know?
I can. So I was working on a TV show called Houdini and Doyle, which was basically about Harry Houdini's friendship with Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. And of course, Houdini was very skeptical. He didn't believe in the spirit world. He was desperately wanted to believe in the spirit world, but he didn't believe it. He was always searching for the answers. And basically, it goes back to when his mother died. He wanted to make contact with her, and he never had a successful communication with her afterwards. Although Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's wife claimed that she had actually made contact with Houdini's mother, and she gave Houdini a message, and this message Houdini read, and how wonderful it was, and Houdini very calmly just said thank you very much, and off he went. And him and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle had a rocky relationship after that moment, because Houdini basically turned to Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and said, absolutely not, that your wife isn't making contact with the dead. She's a fraud, just like everyone else that he's investigated. And Arthur Conan Doyle asked why. And Houdini said because his mother only ever spoke German. She was German. She couldn't speak English. And the letter or the writing that came through was all in English.
Mhm.
And she also referred to him, my dearest Harry, in the letter. And his mum never called him Harry. She called him by his real name, which was Eric.
Oh.
So that kind of all kicked off with Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. So ITV thought it'd be a really cool thing to do, a TV show about their relationship. So I got involved in it because I'd been doing other things that they'd seen my work on, and they asked if I could create all of the strange and unusual and be a consultant for them, which I was. So I would sit with the writers and tell them about Houdini and the spirit world, and strange and unusual things like that, and how Houdini would investigate. And one of the things that they would do for their investigations, certainly back in Houdini's time, they would put a pan or a bowl of hot wax on the table, and they would basically say, if you were a spirit, come and show yourself by the spirit by pushing their hand into the wax, and when they took their hand out, it would leave a wax hand effectively. And of course, there's no way that it had to have been, in their eyes, it had to have been made by a spirit, because there's no way you could get your hand out of the hole at the bottom.
Yeah, I haven't tried because I don't want to break it, but
No. So
yeah.
that was one of the props used. We had a spiritualist seance moment where Houdini goes to see this spiritualist seance, this spiritualist at a seance. A woman. Have you seen Schitt's Creek?
Mm-mm.
So it's a great, it's a funny TV series. But one of the women in that, Emily Hampshire, she's called. Emily Hampshire, an actress, she was playing the part of this spiritualist medium. So we're telling her all about the stuff that Houdini would do, including the spirit hands and so on. Of course, if you go to some holiday destinations now, you can make your own spirit hands. They actually make them. You can get you and your partner can have your hands linked together and made into wax and
Nice.
everything. Which, so of course, back in the day, people thought it was again some sort of spiritualist, some sort of ghost apparition, would make this thing appear. But yeah, it was very interesting. But going back to Emily Hampshire, when she saw all this stuff, she was quite creeped out by it, and we had some of my. You can see some of the things we've got above my head here.
Yeah.
Some of those things were set dressing for the for the set and everything. And I don't know if I sent you a photograph of Emily doing the seance and everything with your spirit hand there.
You may have, yes. You sent me these like these older
Oh, there you go.
pictures.
That's Houdini actually. So
Yeah.
Houdini then would debunk the spirit medium by actually showing how it was done. So Houdini would show these pictures, all the fraudulent spirit mediums doing really effectively using magicians' techniques to actually accomplish coming into contact with the spirit world, which was pretty clever.
That's a
So that was
creepy thing.
Houdini's thing. It's cool, isn't it?
Too many hands.
Yes, yeah. So Emily Hampshire, we set all this up and taught Steph, my wife, taught Emily how to be a fake spirit medium.
Mhm.
So she'd seen stuff that we'd done. She saw our seance that we did with
Mhm.
you guys. She didn't see that version. We did a version for all of the cast and everything. And when we'd finished filming, she came up to Steph and to myself, and she hugged us and thanked us so much. She said, "Thank you so much for all of your hard work and making me look like a real spiritualist medium." Followed by, she said, "But I wish I could do it like you guys do." And we said, "Well, you have done. You've done it exactly." And she went, "No, no, no. I mean, I really wish I could contact the spirit world like you guys do." And we said, we didn't. And she says, now, come on, of course you did. Everything you've done on me, that was the real spirit world. And she was genuinely convinced that we had contacted the spirit world and done all of this incredible stuff. But it was just a little bit of, as Orson Welles used to call it, a little bit of Rani Magoo. A
Yeah.
little bit of Rani Magoo. There you are. So, yeah, it's good fun.
You've done quite a bit of and a variety of work on TV shows and
Yeah.
like behind the scenes kind of stuff as well, haven't you? I know that you did Help My Supply Teacher. Is it Supply Teacher's Magic?
I
From
did,
back
yeah,
in the
yeah.
day. Did you? Am I right in thinking? Did you work on Sherlock at any point?
Yes. So I worked on Sherlock with for BBC with Benedict and Martin, who were wonderful people to work with. And I'm not very good with stars. I'm never quite 100% sure who's meant to be a star of something or not. So I remember the first time I met Martin Freeman, I was tying him to a chair, and I asked I asked his name. I asked his name and what part he was going to be playing later in the day, and he kind of said, "Oh, it's Martin Freeman. I'm playing John Watson." I'm like, "Oh, okay. So you're famous then?" He's like, "Yeah, apparently so." So yeah, so it was great working with those guys, and yeah, we created strange stuff, shall we say? So if you saw seasons 1 and 2 of Sherlock, then you've seen some of my work.
Yeah,
Um,
cliffhanger, and I feel like you. I don't want to say where it was in case people haven't seen it, but I feel like you did whatever the thing of the cliffhanger was. Hard to talk
yeah,
about without spoiling it.
it is really hard. And you know what? There should have been another season, but of course, Benedict and Martin, massively famous. Obviously now,
Yeah.
even more so after Sherlock. I think that obviously Benedict went on to become a
Wizard.
Marvel superhero, and then the other one we had as a incredible Hobbit. I think it was he the Hobbit? Or again, I'm not 100% sure what Martin plays in the Hobbit. I think he was the
Yes, he
Hobbit.
was. Yes.
Shows you how much TV I watch. But there we are.
Well, you're on the road a lot, Daddy. You'd probably be forgiven.
The reason I ended up getting the Sherlock job, if you want, is because the writers had been doing a little bit of research on strange and unusual ways to effectively kill someone, and they'd actually seen a video clip of my head trap with the spikes
Oh,
crushing my head.
cool.
So I sat in a room somewhere in an abandoned railway arch that had been used for some filming for Doctor Who, or they were filming Doctor Who at the time. Because when I turned up for this meeting, they were delivering a TARDIS, which was pretty cool to see. And I'm a Doctor Who fan as well, so that was awesome. And the same writers and team that produced Sherlock also produced Doctor Who. So there's a couple of other things that I worked on from that as well. But yeah, basically the writing team sat with me, chat to me about my interest in Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and Sherlock and what I knew, and I basically spent 2 hours just chatting to them. And at the end of it, they asked me if I wanted a job. They asked me if I could come up with 4 ways to kill someone, and I give them 4 really cool ways to kill someone, which sounds really wrong saying it like that, doesn't it? 4 really cool ways to kill someone. 4
It's for
really
TV, everyone.
yes, yeah, 4 really interesting ways to kill someone, and they offered me a job on the team, which I turned down. I turned it down when I was first offered it, because of my love of Sherlock Holmes. I'm a real big fan of the old Basil Rathbone series and I loved all that. And I was really kind of scared that a modern Sherlock Holmes wasn't the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple of weeks went by. They convinced me to go back down and help on some stuff, and all of a sudden there I am, and there's my stuff happening on TV for Sherlock all these years later.
So yes, what I was going to ask you is, I watched you teach Ryland Clark how to climb a little ladder of knives one time.
Yes, yeah. So again, going back to the weird and wonderful stuff we do, I was working on a TV show called The Magicians for BBC. Years ago. We're going back forever ago. It feels like now, maybe 10+ years ago. And the producers from that show saw all of the sideshow stuff that I do. So eating molten lead and bending bars with my teeth and things like that. And at the time, bit of a big deal. And he had his own TV show called Up Late with Ryland. And they wanted something as a bit of a challenge to Ryland every week. So I got a call saying, could I come up with a real strange challenge for Ryland every week? Which I did, and then turned up there, and all of a sudden I'm myself and Steph performing the stuff and teaching Ryland how to do it, and it was great fun. So he walked up a ladder of swords. He
Yeah.
walked. I think we had him eat molten lava. We had him break a glass bottle with a karate chop. So just the weird stuff. So it was great fun, and everyone said, "I bet he was an absolute diva to work with." And I must admit, I wasn't looking. He was the most charming, loveliest man ever. He was brilliant. And do you know what? He had the chance to say no to any of these stunts that I put down in front of him, and he genuinely didn't know what they were going to be until he got there on the day and he was filming it, and he didn't refuse any of them. And he always said, "I trust you 100% that you are going to get me through this." And he was awesome. He was brilliant. So.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, you gotta. It's good to have like a good sport to. Oh, sorry, but you're still freezing on my end of it, Danny.
Yeah, you did a little bit of a freezy there on me.
Mm.
I mean, I know it doesn't help, but I am literally sat on top of my router.
Yeah, I've got full internet as well, so I don't know. Maybe it just needed a second to catch up after I moved.
There is a chance that where I live is just the middle of nowhere, and well, to be quite honest, Kaylee, we're lucky we've even got electric here. So,
I would expect no less.
oh yeah,
Um, so can I ask you about your work with Darren Brown? Because
absolutely not. No. Yeah, of course you can.
can you tell us about your work
Yeah,
with Darren Brown?
Darren. How did I end up with this? So again, I going back, you mentioned a TV show I'd worked on, Help My Supply Teacher's Magic, which was a children's TV show. And again, going back maybe 15 years, maybe longer. And I was working on that show, and that was for a company called Objective. And Objective was owned by a very clever magician, a guy called Andrew O'Connor. And Andrew O'Connor won the Magic Circle's Young Magician of the Year. And I want to say something like 1981 or something like that. And I saw pictures of Andrew O'Connor on my wall and all the rest of it. And all of a sudden, I ended up working for his company that were making Help My Supply Teacher's Magic. Whilst I was working on Help My Supply Teacher's Magic, Andrew has sold the company and he's moved off to LA. Fast forward all these years later, about 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago, I got a call completely out of the blue from Andrew O'Connor, asking me if I would be interested in coming to do some work on Darren Brown's latest production that he was working on, the show, which opened in the West End. We was set to open in the West End, and it was going to feature a thing called a really old. It was once upon a time, magic shows used to have like little playlets in them. So this was going to be a recreation, or part of the show was going to be a recreation of something called Will the Witch and the Wardrobe, or Will the Witch and the Watchman, different titles to it. And it would have been the first time it was ever seen on stage in the UK for a couple of 100 years. So it was very exciting. And at the time, we were just expecting Rex, our little boy, to be born. So yes, about 3 years ago. And again, it was something I kind of said, I don't think I can because really busy and little boy on the way. And our little boy arrived, and Mr. O'Connor sent some lovely messages and some nice things. and convinced me to go and work for them. So off I went and started with him and Darren on this incredible show with this wonderful all pieces of magic in there and these incredible things that Darren does and he does. So there's a team for Darren. There's three people that work on Darren's show. It's not just Darren on his own. It's Darren, of course, Andrew O'Connor, and a guy called Andy Nyman. Who yeah, I'm going to say, for anyone who hasn't seen Andy, would have seen. Chances are you have seen him, but you don't realise you've seen him because he's in all sorts of things. If you're a Peaky Blinders fan, he features in Peaky Blinders. He's he featured on Dead Set, of course,
Yeah,
which was
he was the
incredible.
he was the producer, the Big Brother producer.
That's
of
it.
Dead Set.
Yeah.
And I've been a fan of him since because he was my favourite part of the whole mini-series.
And Andy's got a film which is coming. Was not coming out. It's been out for a while. It's a wonderful film, and it's out again. He's doing it. Let's think about this. It's on. I want to say this week. It's on TV, on BBC Two, I think it is, and it's just real Andy. Andy's just, he loves horror. He loves theatre. He loves magic, and when you combine all that together, it's everything I love. So myself and Andy get on really well as well. Ghost Stories. I did say that. I didn't say the name of the film. It's Ghost Stories. I think it's BBC Two, possibly this Friday, Thursday or Friday. So have a look for that, or find it on Amazon Prime. I'm not getting money from that, but find it on Amazon Prime.
we're just plugging it because it'll be good.
Yeah, and this is coming on. It's on TV, but I don't know as well if you guys are aware, but Andy's got a live version of the show as well, so you can go. Andy had it in. It was in London a couple of years ago. I've not been to see it, but I watched the film and I loved the film, and the film made me jump and it got me on edge, which I love. I would imagine watching this live is just incredible. We're going to see it when it goes on tour. We are going to see it. I've even convinced Steph to, well, and he's even convinced Steph to go, because Steph just doesn't like any of this stuff. Steph doesn't like any of the stuff that you and I like. She always says it's like, no, don't get it, don't understand it. So
yeah, Nick's not into the horror stuff either. I've shown him a few classics because everyone needs to see The Thing and stuff of that nature, which he did enjoy. But yeah, generally speaking, I'm watching horror films by myself.
Same. Yeah, but Andy said that if Steph goes to see it, he will look after her, is what he said. So he'll take her in to see it. So don't let that, if you do watch the film, don't let that put you off seeing the live show, because the live show is very different to the film. But yeah, there you go. That's my recommendation. Ghost Stories by Andy Nyman, which features Martin as well, Martin Freeman.
He's everywhere.
Isn't he just? Yeah. Andy's in it. Andy is in it, actually. And also Andy's writing partner. They've released a book a little while ago, which I can't see it on my shelf. Nothing to do with horror, but a cool book if you have an interest in magic and stuff. So Andy Nyman and Jeremy Dyson, they wrote Ghost Stories, but they also wrote a book which is called The Warlock Effect. So if you like magic and you like tricks and maybe even learning how to do the odd little trick, The Warlock Effect, definitely worth a read as well. So
that's cool. What's your favorite part, or do you have a favorite part of what you do?
I love it all. I absolutely love it all. But there's a show we're doing at the minute which I adore, this show, and it's a kids show, and it's nothing like any of the dangerous stuff. It's nothing like any of the scary, spooky stuff. And Steph always describes it as, it's me just blowing off steam. Very different when you're working with Darren stuff, things have to be very precise and very to the point and made perfectly. And same when we make a lot of props for Andy Nyman. So Andy loves props and everything. So making magic props for Andy's brilliant. It has to be precise, and it can be sometimes a little bit stressful and a little bit, But this show that we do at the minute, Top Secret: The Magic of Science, it's a kids show. I adore it. I wrote it, and it's just me blowing off steam for 2 hours. It's just me being silly and stupid, and it's great fun. I genuinely love it. And you know me. I think if I remember right, we stood in the wings once talking about these horrible sticky-fingered little children.
Yes,
And
you said about it, but I didn't know whether to bring it up.
you know how much I go, oh no, not oh no. But this kid show is just incredible. I love it. Absolutely. I think it's wonderful. And we still get the sticky-fingered little children coming up on stage. And we had a wonderful little kid came up to help us the other day. He was helping in the show, and his face was just covered in chocolate. He'd clearly just sat there watching our show and eating chocolate, and he was just covered in chocolate. So, but yeah, you've got to kind of wash your hands of the chocolate once they've gone again. But
yeah, one of the things at the holiday park, so the evening show was like the main draw, but you did used to do like that like kids magic workshop in the afternoon as well, and they don't have those little things. And I remember sitting backstage like wiping them all down. We'd always be like, why are they all sticky? Why are kids' hands always sticky? What is it?
It's funny, isn't it? It's really funny.
And it was after that conversation where every time a kid came up to me, because they always want to hold your hand, and they just come up to like hold your hand, and I'd be like, it's sticky. Why is it sticky?
You're anti-backing.
Yeah, well, there's yeah, that's why everyone's always sick the first term of school and everything, because kids share their germs and that they somehow don't get sick from, and then give it to all of us with our weakened immune system.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that's good. You've like, it's just such a range of things, and it's like, it's so cool that you've made a career, like a full-time job and career out of doing things.
I always say, I genuinely, I know a lot of people say that I genuinely say this is the best job in the world. I absolutely, and I know I'm really lucky to have it. I know I'm really lucky to do it, especially seeing how many creative friends of mine lost their jobs during COVID. How many people didn't see it through? I've great friends who are such talented people, and they stepped away from the world of entertainment, or the world of creating wonderful and amazing things. So I'm very fortunate to do what I do. I love doing what I do, and I don't know. It kind of goes back all those years ago, again, going back to the careers advisor telling me, no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
To me, kind of going, no, I'm proving them wrong. I'm going to do what I want to do, and like I say, here I am, still doing it.
Well, yeah, I agree. I've told this story on the channel before, so excuse me, anyone who's heard this, but the careers advisor in school, they asked me what I wanted to do. I said I wanted to be a writer. And I said, oh, I don't know if I want to do scripts or books, but like, can you get me some information? I don't know anything about how you become a script writer. And she was like, oh, what are the GCSEs are you doing? Oh, history. And I was like, right. So why don't you be a history teacher? And I thought that was just she just plucked one of my subjects out of, I was like, well, I don't really want to be a history teacher. I would really like to be a writer. And she was like, oh, it's not going to be a writer. And I was like, I was so like, because my mum has never done this to me. She's always been like, you can be whatever you want. You just have to work hard. And so I said, did you always want to be a careers advisor? And then I got sent back to my form class with a note about me being rude. And I didn't have my follow-up appointment with her. But that was the inspirational thing for me working at the holiday park, because all you get there, you're working in entertainment, and then everyone that you meet is an entertainer that's doing it full time, basically. And there's a whole range. Like, I remember talking to Steve Arnold, the juggler.
Yeah, juggler, yeah.
And I was like, oh, I really want to be a writer, but I don't know, like, is it a waste of my time to try and do this? And he was like, I throw balls into the air for a living. He's like, trust me. He's like, you can be whatever you want. You just have to like keep putting yourself out there. And from the sounds of it, for like your career trajectory, it's like you've like done a bit of work somewhere, and then good word of mouth, or someone's seen your work, so then you get offered another job. Yeah. So
I think again with the consultancy stuff, the magic consultancy or the consultants, not always magic. It's sometimes, like I say, how are we going to kill someone, or how are we going to make this look a little bit strange? I think that it all happened completely by accident.
Mhm.
It all happened. That wasn't my intention to go out and want to create magic or weird stuff for other people. But
Mm.
people obviously saw what I was doing and thought, oh, that was cool. We like that. Or there's another TV show that I can't mention, but my stuff appears on that TV show lots. Um, just think about, when people are, I can't tell you what it is, but it'll give you an indication. People sometimes go to storage lockers and find unusual things in storage lockers.
Mhm.
Always say so. Sometimes my work appears on TV shows like that, or sometimes my work appears on YouTube clips, and it's not actually a paranormal sighting that someone's
Oh
seen.
my god, I almost forgot. Yeah, I watched some of those clips you sent me. So, unbeknownst to you guys, if you ever feel haunted in a shop, like something's levitating or you hear a funny noise, it might just be Danny.
It could have been me. It could have been me. So
Yeah, that's for me. Like, there's so much variety, um, in just your work, because this is why. So when like I was introducing her, I was like, do I say magician, illusionist, escapologist, TV consultant, prop maker, um, writer as well? I didn't even know that.
there you go. There you go. Strange things, and there's obviously those ones I sent you, but there's a whole host of other things out there that I'm not allowed to tell anyone that I've done. But it's some. So I guess the thing is, it's as is with all illusion things, it's not always what it seems to be. So,
Mhm.
and I love the paranormal, and I love stuff like that, and I love finding out, hearing stories about the paranormal, and looking into it and researching it, and trying to figure out what people have actually seen. And I'm not saying that there isn't anything supernatural.
Mhm.
Um, although, do you want to hear a really funny story, which
Go on.
shocked Steph, and she was very genuinely shocked by it. So we were staying with Steph's mum and dad's a couple of weeks ago, and they've moved into this beautiful old house. And we've been talking about the history of the house and so on. And Steph's mum and dad have got some very lovely antique furniture there. And we're in bed, and I'm fast asleep, and I hear a thud. And I look down to the side of the bed, and my mobile phone's on the floor. So I think I've knocked it. So I pick it back up, and I put it back on the side, and I go back to sleep again. A few seconds later, thud lands on the floor. I'm like, oh, what's this all about? This is really weird, really weird. So I pick it back up again, I put it back down, but I don't close my eyes, and I watch my phone. I swear, Kaylee, I see my mobile phone going across the table, across the bedside table, like that, and it falls onto the floor.
So weird.
So I'm now really, really shook up, and I pick it back up, and I put it on the side, and I watch it happen again, really slowly, and it falls on the floor. I now wake Steph up and tell Steph she's got to wake up, pack everything up. We're leaving Steph's mum and dad's. I'm not sticking around. I've just seen this happen. And I admit my words to Steph, I swear I saw this happen. I know. And Steph just took my phone from me. She said, you don't have the case on your phone. Steph's mum and dad's house is an old house. There's a slight tilt to everything in the house. And all of a sudden, my phone, the case wasn't on it, but this worktop on this bedside table was so smooth. Every time I put it in, it just slid beautifully across and dropped off. Freaked me out like you wouldn't
Yeah.
believe. I've genuinely never been scared of anything. Now I don't know if it's just because I'd just woken up and I was a little bit
Mm.
sleepy, or whether it's because I was concerned for Rex, my little boy, being in the same room, and freaked me out. And the following day, Steph just laughed at me so much, and she said, "I bet you will never tell Kaylee this story, because." And then, yeah, I've told you it now. So, but yeah, it genuinely shook me up.
Yeah, like I said, like I don't believe in anything at all. Like I don't believe that everyone who said they've seen a ghost is lying. I just think
No,
that I believe that what they're telling me they saw is true, but I just think that it wasn't what they thought it was, or maybe it was. I don't know. But I'm not impervious to being scared by and all of a sudden being like, oh, maybe there's a ghost. I went to stay in the Skirrid Inn a few years ago, which is supposed to be really haunted, and I was up front and I told them, look, I'm going to be like live streaming and stuff, like just to see if it's haunted, and I'm going to do a write-up of it after. And they were so lovely. I would definitely recommend going there because the food was lovely and it's a nice place to stay. It's old, there's lots to look at and stuff. So I waited. They sincerely do, just like there are only 3 rooms there, and then once the pub is closed for the night, they just lock you in and leave. Like I really didn't believe that they actually left the premises, but I watched them go, and they just lock you in and go. And so there was just me and then a couple in the room next to me that was staying there, and they just kind of trust you to not destroy the place, I guess. Quite the honor code at the Skirrid Inn. And I was walking around filming, and I was like, hello, ghosts. I'm ready to be haunted. Anyone want to haunt me? And that's basically how I spent my night. I found a Ouija board, which I thought was good planning on their part, because obviously the reputation of the place is what keeps the business going and stuff. So they set things up for you. They expect people to creep around looking and stuff. So I was like, oh, they've left stuff for me to find. And then I went through a patch where I was filming downstairs in the dark. And I was like, oh my God, so many orbs. And then I realized it's just lint, like flaring as it goes past your flash. And I was like, oh, I'm so disappointed. I really thought I was surrounded by ghosts. But then when I went back up to my bed, my bathroom was very creepy and cold. And I woke up because of like really scary noises in there. And I know it must have just been pipes and things cooling and all that. Logically, I know that. But I was like, I'm not investigating, because that's how people die in horror films. So I just stayed to bed scared.
Yeah, wise decision. Use those covers to cover your head, protect you all the way.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah,
I was gone at like 7:30 in the morning. Like as soon as the sun came up, I was like, right, bye, off I go.
Yeah, I've always fancied the Golden Fleece in York. I love York. I don't know if you've had a visit to York, but it's a wonderful place, and full of history and full of hauntings and ghost stories and everything. But yeah, the Golden Fleece in York, and I think the same has about 3 or 4 rooms. And they do say that if you stay there, they don't offer any refunds if you decide you're going to leave early. So
yeah. I like guest books in that place, because there's guest books in every room, and they like advise, like, oh, have a little look at the guest book, because I think they want you to be scared. And so
of course.
So people write all sorts of stuff in the guest books. Like I was, the number of times I saw, I woke up and this cord was wrapped around my neck, like there's like a phone in the room, and so many people had said that, and I was like side-eyeing this phone. I was like, you stay, you just stay there. I think that I wrote something intentionally creepy in that book. I don't remember what it was, but that would be just like me. So,
why not? Why not?
Couldn't resist. Yeah. So I'll have to let you go shortly, but since we normally talk about horror, and we went sort of horror adjacent with magic and escapes and stuff, what kind of horror stuff do you enjoy? What would you recommend?
What do I enjoy? I love, I mean, my favorite, 2 favorite films, and this is going back to being a kid, probably watching them when I shouldn't have been watching them.
Yes.
Salem's Lot, the original Salem's Lot. Love it. Brilliant. Incredible. And I think that's where my love of vampires came from.
Yeah.
And also and there was that moment as well, because as well, one of the 2 boys in Salem's Lot, one of them goes missing. Danny, I think he's called. If I remember right, he's called. So one of them's a magician, and he does a little handcuff escape and everything. I was fascinated about that, because he's escaping from handcuffs and lock picking, and he's got a picture of Houdini on the wall. So as a kid, I was fascinated by it. Scared the life out of me. Still love it. I think it's a brilliant film. So yeah, that sort of thing. And the other thing, again, definitely shouldn't have been watching, but loved it. Loved it. American Werewolf in London. And I know you're a fan of that, but just that sort of thing. I must admit, I love the old Hammer horror stuff. I love any of the old, really old stuff. Going back to the very early Hammer horror, Draculas and Frankenstein and
Yeah.
Bride of Dracula and all that sort of thing. I do love all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think that's and I don't think I've seen anything recently that's made me go, I love that more than I ever have done with the older things, really. Ghost stories, Andy Nyman's ghost stories. I did enjoy that. I love to see more of a werewolf or a vampire or a zombie rather than anything that's haunted related hauntings. I do love a haunting, but I'd much prefer to see a werewolf ripping the throat out of someone any day, to be quite honest with you. I think my favourite moment on Dead Set, Davina McCall getting her throat ripped out.
Oh, she's
Brilliant. Love
good.
that scene.
She
Yeah,
was
she was
good.
excellent. It's the only time I've actually really enjoyed her, was watching her die on Dead Set.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Like, you might think like being a presenter doesn't necessarily translate to acting. So I thought she did a really
no,
good job.
yeah. So that's kind of the type of stuff the kind of thing. Reading wise, I don't get a chance to read a lot, although I've got a shed load of books, as you can see behind me. I've got 3,500 books, but not horror or bizarre or anything like that. But The Highgate Vampire by Sean Manchester.
Cool. That's new to me. I haven't seen
So
it before.
the Reverend Manchester, he was a vampire hunter, and he came across the vampire in Highgate. And in Highgate Cemetery, which is an incredible place to visit as well. If you get the chance to go and visit Highgate, go and visit Highgate Cemetery, and he tells you all about this vampire that he disposed of in Highgate, and he's actually a reverend, a man of the cloth. So yeah, the Highgate Vampire, very cool book. So
Straight on the wish
thing
list.
I like. There you go. Oh look, it's great. Yeah.
I have too many books, but I still keep buying more books. So, you know.
Well, I've got the same problem.
Yeah.
Not enough time to read them. That's my biggest problem.
Yeah, I know. If I had the power, like any superpower, I would pick freezing time so that I had time to read all my books.
Great, be great, wouldn't it?
Okay, so before we sign off, is there anything of yours that you would like to currently promote? People to know about?
So people should just come and see us anywhere, anytime. So
Okay.
if you see our science and if you come and see, if you want 2 hours of cack to fill, come and see our kids science and magic show. If you've got kids, bring them along. It looks better if you're bringing kids along to see that, rather than just sitting there at the back
Just
like a
turning up.
weirdo on your own in a room full of kids. Come and see our kids science and magic show. It's awesome. But yeah, if you get the chance to come and see any of our shows, yeah, just have a little look and search for us online. Search for Amethyst Magic. Search for Amethyst Magic, and you'll be able to see some of the craziness that we do, or that I do, or that we get up to. And also, there's links on our website to all of our other types of shows and our consultancy, and you'll see the stuff we've done for Sherlock and the stuff we've done for various other shows as well. So
I'll put the link for the website in the description, and then links to other stuff I find that you've been
cool.
involved in, so everyone can just have a little check everything out and have a little look see.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
Thank you so much for doing this, because everyone that watches this
You're
knows
very welcome.
we normally have authors, and I'm trying to branch out and talk to other people in the creative field and entertainment and stuff. Get a bit of a different perspective, and yeah, you did make me love magic in my adult years for the
Good,
first time.
good.
So yes, yeah, can't recommend seeing Amethyst enough, everyone, if you get the chance to. It's a really, really great show. I'm never going to figure out where Steph goes in the box. It's going to be...
Next time we see you, we'll put you in a box.
Oh no, I'm afraid you'll actually
Why not?
disappear me.
You never know. You never know.
No, I don't. I don't even fully believe that you guys aren't actually magic and that you're just making a living from pretending that you're illusionists. I used to think that about Darren Brown as well. I was like,
Darren is something completely different with Darren. I'm going off on a different direction again here, but Darren's, I think he almost reinvented the magic show. In fact,
yeah,
I think he did reinvent the magic show. It's not a magician doing card tricks. He's not a magician pulling rabbits out of hats or making birds appear or anything like that. It's just he's tapping into what we all are familiar with, the things around us, and really kind of messing with our minds, which is awesome. It's brilliant. So yeah.
yeah. Oh God, I completely forgot to even ask you about hypnotism.
Well, hypnotism as well. A little bit used in that. A little bit used in a little bit. A couple of TV shows, really quickly, really quickly.
Go on.
Couple of TV shows that I worked on. I sent you a link to one yesterday,
Yeah.
which was the Alien. Which aliens aren't my thing, but we had to create a thing with an alien abduction or an alien landing in a field. We also haunted a town for this same TV show, which you saw some of the link to that. So we used a little bit of hypnotism with some of that on a bit of a large scale. So we weren't just hypnotizing one person; we were effectively almost hypnotizing an entire town in some respects. But yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I love it. I love it. Oh gosh. I'm going to stop myself going on another tangent because my brain just went. So I was like, no, must sign off now. Yes, if anyone has any questions for Danny that I can pass along and get the answers to, please feel free to leave them in the comments. And then, like I said, everything will be in the description for everyone to look at. And a quick announcement before we go. Now, I forgot to bring the fluffy creature downstairs when I relocated everybody, but we did have a winner for whoever guessed the thing that I've been showing you in the last few interviews, and it was I'll show it to you in the next one I do, because it won't make sense if I'm not holding it. But my YouTube bestie Eric won in the comments on the last video, so I'll be sending prizes. And I need to find something else weird around my house for people to guess where it is for the next one. Danny, you've got no idea what I'm talking about. I usually hold up something weird from my horror collection and then ask people to guess what the thing is, and then there's a prize. And someone's guessed the last one very fast, much faster than I thought.
Oh, okay.
Because it doesn't look like what it's supposed to be at all. Okay, so yes, I'm gonna, for final time, just say thank you so much for being here. I've really enjoyed this. I hope everyone else has. And our sign off at Happy Goat Horror, Danny, is bleat. So we're gonna say bleat.
Thank you.